guys. Welcome to the live today. I am going to go ahead and get started in just a couple minutes. I know I'm a little bit late, sorry. But welcome to the live. So you can go ahead, put in something you know about the Ice Age into the comments section if you're watching. If not, I am going to start in just a couple minutes. Give people some time to join us today. And if you're stopping by, say hi. I'll get started in just a couple minutes. Alright, if you're just joining us, we're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. If you're here, go ahead and write a comment. I see Penelope says hi. Hi, Penelope. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to give just another minute so people can join. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get started now. So thank you all for joining us for today's Facebook Live. My name is Lily, and this is our second and our last Facebook Live of the summer. So today we are going to talk all about the Ice Age, and I figured our last Facebook Live was about wildfires, so I thought it would be fun to talk about ice. Anyway, today we're going to talk all about the Ice Age, some of the animals that lived during that time, the plants, environment, and the people. So we've got quite a bit to cover, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So first I want to know what you guys know. So if you know anything about the Ice Age, I want you to put it in the comments section. Just put one thing that you know about the Ice Age. And if all you know is something from the Ice Age movie, that's totally fine. So go ahead, put something in the comments section. What do you know? What's one thing you know about the Ice Age? And while you write stuff down, I'm going to talk a little bit. So just so you guys know, it's only me today for the live. So I'm going to try my best to keep up with any comments, questions, and anytime anyone says hi. But if I miss your comment or your question, I promise I will answer as soon as I can. And even if I miss your hi, I do mean to say hello to all of you. And thank you for joining us. So let's go ahead and get started. So the Ice Age actually occurred during the Pleistocene epoch. So the Pleistocene is that big P word up on the screen. The Pleistocene began around 2.6 million years ago and lasted for around 11,700 years. So this is only the most recent ice age in Earth's history. There have been at least 5 other ice ages since the Earth was formed. But what makes the Pleistocene so interesting is that this is when mammals and birds became really popular on Earth. So the Pleistocene is also special because this is when Homo sapiens, or modern day humans like us, began evolving. By the end of the Pleistocene, Homo sapiens were found throughout the world. And I'll talk more about this later, but the increase in large animals helped Homo sapiens to really grow as a species. We honestly wouldn't be here today without these Pleistocene ancestors. So the Pleistocene is known as the Ice Age because temperatures on Earth were slightly colder than today. At the peak of the Ice Age, temperatures were around 10 to 20 degrees colder than today. There was also a lot less rain. They got about half of what we get today. So this made for a really interesting climate because things were very different. While they still had summers, the snow usually didn't melt in the summer. You'd still have some snow. And you can see in that GIF that I have that the ice sheets on the ocean kind of move. And during the Ice Age, they actually didn't move very much. These sheets were pretty solid. And you can see if you look on the world map to the right, and I'm going to use my mouse here to show you, on the top north side of the world and down at Antarctica, there's this like hazy fog around the poles, and all of that was actually ice cover during the Ice Age. So you can see it covered in Antarctica, or the south, almost all the way up to South America, and it went all the way down into what is now United States, all the way up. All of that was ice. So, and all of that ice wasn't just ice like we see. It was actually all thick enough that animals and people could walk on them. And we're not talking just like little deer or people. We're talking huge giant mammoths and mastodons and huge animals walking across these ice bridges. So continents like Asia and North America were actually connected to each other through what are called land bridges. So this means that up in Alaska, people and animals could walk to North America from Russia and other parts of Europe. So this led to animals could leave North America and go across to the rest of the world. So this led to animals like camels, lions, and bears migrating all over the world. So an important part of the Ice Age is, of course, the ice. We've talked a little bit about how ice was everywhere, but during this time of the Ice Age, glaciers really dominated the landscape. They were everywhere. This area of Washington, around Spokane, and all the way to the east were filled with glaciers during the Ice Age. We can still see glimpses of this at places like Glacier National Park in Montana, and these glaciers are actually snowpack that becomes ice and really never melts. So these glaciers, though, are moving. And glaciers move very, very slowly over thousands of years, but they can shape the way the land looks. And a lot of the rivers, lakes, mountains around here were shaped by these moving glaciers from the Ice Age. Actually, the glaciers you can find at Glacier National Park, some of them, most of them, were around during the last Ice Age. Can you imagine ice and snow that has not melted in over like 2.6 million years? That's pretty insane. Now, taking a little step back, in the last slide I mentioned land bridges. So land bridges are a very important part of the Ice Age. Some of you may remember a few months ago on Facebook and Instagram, I posted about Beringia. Well, the Bering Land Bridge, and you can see this in the map on the left, is the same thing as Beringia. I know it's kind of confusing that basically all sciencey things have two names, but that's just how it is. So anyway, the Bering Land Bridge was a chunk of ice that kind of stretched over the ocean from around Alaska all the way into like Russia, Asia. And this allowed people and animals to walk across. The Bering Land Bridge is actually how humans were able to get to North and South America. Without the Ice Age, humans probably wouldn't have made it to North and South America until much, much later. But before I go too crazy over our ancient ancestors, let's talk about some Ice Age animals. So I've got a picture on the right that actually shows a human next to some of these amazing animals from the Ice Age. The picture on the left shows a modern moose next to its Ice Age equivalent of a moose. So you can see just from these two pictures that Ice Age animals were huge. But why? The answer to that is kind of complicated, but after the dinosaurs died, and remember, dinosaurs were dead millions of years before the Pleistocene, so this Ice Age. Without the dinosaurs, plants and animals were able to grow and evolve at amazing rates. This is when birds began to evolve into hundreds of species, and during the Pleistocene, many birds were very similar to those we see today. For example, this is a lark, and this lark dates back to over 46,000 years ago, which is during the last Ice Age. This bird was found in Russia about 21 years ago. It was found in about 2000, I believe. And it looks very similar to the lark that we see today. And this lark in this picture is actually the most intact bird anyone has found from the last Ice Age. So that makes it really special and really cool. And actually, if you were to flip it over, you can see all the little feet on it. Like, everything is still intact, which is pretty amazing for such an old animal. So, however, the Ice Age is kind of known for its megafauna. Now, I know this might be a new word for some people, so we're going to break it down. So it's made of two words, megafauna. So we know mega means big, right? So fauna actually means animals. So putting the two words together, megafauna means big animals, and these animals were huge. So we typically think of animals like woolly mammoths, mastodons, which are kind of like elephants, and I have a picture of one of those in the next slide. And those we think of as the big Ice Age animals. They were in the movie too. But they are not the only animals that were really big in the Ice Age. So I'm going to show you some of the animals in the next slide. And the pictures in the next slide are going to be similar to the one with the moose. So you're going to have the modern animal and then the Ice Age animal next to it. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so this first picture is a sloth. There were giant sloths living in South America at this time. Next to it is the ancestor to the armadillo. They were found throughout North America. Next to that is the American cave lion. That's right, a cave lion in America. So lions actually moved to Africa from North America. After that, we have a saber-toothed cat. They were found everywhere in the Ice Age, and today their closest living relative is the clouded leopard. Then we have capybara. Capybaras were found throughout South America, and today they are found throughout South America, and their ancestors lived in North and South America. And they were really, really big. They could actually eat full-grown trees. So next to them is the camel. So camels actually evolved in North America, just like cave lions. So they walked over the land bridge into Asia and eventually Africa. But they used to live all over North America. After that, we have a bison. So giant bison in the Ice Age used to have horns that were up to 8 feet long. So you can see how small the modern day bison horns are compared to those. Up next to that one is the woolly mammoth. So they're slightly bigger than the modern Asian elephant, but they were covered in hair. And woolly mammoths were found around the world, but are very common in North America, down into Central and South America. And next is the ancestor to the rhino. So I think this one has one of the biggest size differences. Rhinos are huge. So it's hard to imagine an animal whose stomach is taller than the rhino. I have a very hard time imagining that. And then next to this ancient rhino ancestor is the South American short-faced bear. So you can probably guess that South American short-faced bear is found in South America. But there were a lot of other cave bears, and they traveled in America, and they traveled across that land bridge and allowed for other bears like grizzly bears, black bears, brown bears, polar bears to evolve. And you can see that this extinct South American short-faced bear is really big. Really, really big and pretty terrifying. I would not want to run across it if I lived back in the Ice Age. Really, I wouldn't want to run across too many of these animals. But how do we know that all of these animals actually lived in America, in North America, and around here? We don't see any of them today. We see ones that are kind of similar, like the bison, but ones like camels or even lions, we don't see up here at all. Well, there are bones that we can find around the world from these amazing animals. And one of the most common kind of places we can find these bones is in tar pits. In Los Angeles, California, there's a place called the La Brea Tar Pits. Now, I've never been there, but it's incredible. So these tar pits were around during the Ice Age. And if you know anything about tar, you'll know that's very, very sticky. So basically, tar is like a tar pit would be a darker, grosser, smellier quicksand. And this may sound sad, but the animals in the Ice Age used to get stuck in this tar and they would die. And today, there are spots that have kind of dried up, and zooarchaeologists, paleontologists, which are just scientists that study animal bones, they dig up and study these bones that come from the tar. And they have found hundreds of thousands of animals and things in the tar pits, including mammoths, mastodons, cave bears, cave lions, camels, and bison. But they also find other things like insects, tree leaves, branches, and many other now extinct things. So these tar pits allow scientists to paint a picture to see what life was like with those plants and animals that they find in the tar pits. So that's how we know so much about the Ice Age. So now for my favorite part, the humans. Homo sapiens, which is the species of human that we are, actually evolved in the Pleistocene, so in the Ice Age. So this means they were alive, they walked, they lived all throughout the Ice Age. And these people, we usually think of them as cavemen. But that term really bugs me, and I'm going to tell you why. So first, these people really only lived in caves to be warm and protected. It was really common for these ancient people to actually live out in fields. And you may be wondering how I kind of know this. So archaeologists, or people that study ancient humans, have found their ancient human tools and bones and burials throughout grasslands as well as in caves. So the other reason I don't like calling ancient people cavemen is because when you call someone a caveman, it usually means that the person isn't very smart and is kind of dumb. But Ice Age people were anything but dumb. They were so smart. So remember, there are ancient ancestors. These people used tools, they hunted, they wore clothing, they traded things. They even buried their dead and left them trinkets at burial sites. So this is really similar if you've ever left flowers at someone's grave. And these people were doing that. So these ancient ancestors actually used to hunt animals much, much bigger than they were, like this picture of them hunting a woolly mammoth. They would follow these animals in their groups around and hunt them and watch them, and it was really amazing. And Ice Age people also knew art. They painted. So in France, there is a cave called the Lascaux Caves, I believe I'm saying that right, where people lived during the last Ice Age, and they painted pictures all throughout these caves of things they saw. So there are pictures of horses, deer, giant animals that we don't recognize. There are pictures of deer with these huge antlers that aren't alive anymore. And it's, if you are interested, you can look them up online and see all of the different paintings and things that people did in these caves. And it's pretty incredible. So a caveman is not really a great description of these people. They're simply our ancient ancestors. And these ancient ancestors that came over are actually directly related to Native Americans that were found in North and South America. So if you are a Native American, these are your direct ancestors, which is very, very cool. So I know when I was going through all this stuff, the next thing I thought was, well, what happened to all of these really big animals, all of the megafauna? Where did the big animals disappear to? So we know that there are some similar animals alive today, like bison, but almost all of the really large animals are extinct. And in North America, most of the large land animals, like mammoths and the giant bison and camels and the cave lions, they don't exist anymore. So there are a lot of reasons why these animals could be gone. One thought is that as the temperatures on Earth started to rise again, the big animals just couldn't adapt or change fast enough to the warming temperatures. So remember, the temperatures were about 10 to 20 degrees cooler than they are today. So that could be a reason, but some scientists aren't convinced by that. So another reason could be disease. There were a lot of diseases going around as animals and people began traveling the world. And these diseases traveled with people or animals and were introduced into areas that had never experienced that disease before. So we've kind of seen this actually with COVID. When a new disease is spread around, there can be mass deaths, and millions of people have died from COVID-19. Even with the vaccine, many are still dying. So imagine a disease that's running through the Ice Age. There's no medicines, no vaccines, so the animals all are going to die. But a lot of scientists aren't happy with that answer either. So the most commonly accepted theory is that these large animals are extinct because of humans. So Homo sapiens were amazing hunters. As you saw in the picture on the last slide, they were hunting this animal, the woolly mammoth, that is who knows how many times bigger than they are. And these ancient people were nomadic, which means that they would travel following the animals. So they didn't really have a set home. They took it with them. And I want you guys to picture in your head a herd of mammoths, a herd of woolly mammoth. They're really big animals. They make a lot of noise. They're not probably afraid of much because they're so big. And they'd be probably pretty easy to follow. And they're pretty slow too, right? And even if you lost them, you could probably quickly find that group again by looking for their tracks or Sorry if this is gross for anyone, but they're poop. You could probably find them from any of those and follow it. And humans would do this. This is exactly what they did, and we can see this in the fossils and in the bones that we find. And these ancient humans would make tools, take advantage of certain situations, and kill the animal, as many animals as they could. They would eat the meat, use the fur, use bones, but mammoths and other large animals don't grow very fast and don't give birth to a lot of babies at the same time. So what happened is humans were killing these animals faster than they could have babies and grow. So scientists think that ancient humans hunted most of the large animals to extinction. So they hunted them until there were no more. But the Pleistocene extinction, or this Ice Age extinction, was not the worst one on Earth. There are much, much worse extinction events. And if you're interested in learning about these extinction events, or events where many, many, many animals all die at the same time, kind of like when the dinosaurs died, leave us a comment and maybe we can do a future Facebook Live about extinction events, because I know I find them pretty darn cool. But anyway, the Ice Age did have an extinction, most likely caused by humans, though we don't really know. But humans haven't really stopped there. We are currently in the middle of a huge mass extinction caused, once again, by humans. If you look at the graph on the left, you can see those purple and green lines. So the purple is the amount of humans on Earth, and the green is the amount of animals and plant extinctions. So you can see that since around 1950s, as the population of humans goes up, the number of animals and plants that are going extinct also goes up. So this graph is from 2008, but it is still accurate, and the numbers are continuing to rise. Insects and amphibians are going extinct every day, especially in the rainforests of Central and South America. And animals in the North and the South Poles are also having problems adapting to a warmer climate. However, this isn't the end of the world. As I mentioned earlier, extinction events are common, but it's just that there's never really been one this big caused by humans before. But since we did have a recent small extinction during the Ice Age, we can hypothesize or make an educated guess about what's going to happen in the future. So going to the image on the right, during the Ice Age, there was a huge burst of animals, many of which evolved in different forms today. But since the Ice Age occurred, most of the largest species have died, and only a few are still around. So that's the present. Those surviving animals are going to be what evolves in the future and helps to populate the Earth again. So now we're talking about the future. Those so animals that are doing well today, so for example, rodents, cockroaches, and humans, over the next few thousand or millions of years will continue to evolve, and new species are going to be created that look similar, that might look similar, I should say, like the Ice Age camel and the modern camel look kind of similar, or they might look completely different, like the modern rhino and the Ice Age rhino. One thing we do know, though, is that the world is changing, and it's kind of up to us to figure out what we're going to do, because this extinction is being caused by the humans. And I'm going to leave it at that. I know it's kind of an odd place to leave it, but we don't really know where we're going with the future. We do expect to have another Ice Age in the next few thousand years, I believe, because Ice Ages kind of come and go. So if you guys have any questions about Ice Ages or the Ice Age animals, anything, go ahead, put them in the comment section now. If you have any ideas for future Facebook Lives, if there's anything you just kind of want to say, go ahead and comment now, and I am happy to answer anything you guys have. Otherwise, please follow us on Instagram. Hopefully you guys already follow us on Facebook and YouTube. So our Instagram is, everything's on the screen right now, and we would love to see you follow us. I think that's just about all I've got. So I hope you guys have a really great day. I really hope, it's pretty smoky here in Spokane today, so I hope it clears up soon, and you guys stay safe and have a great rest of your summer, and we'll see you probably when school starts. All right, bye.